Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a very special roundtable discussion on Sirken Supercast. My name is Derubael, and I am joined today by Sirken. Say hi,
everybody.
I'm Sirken.
Nilbog.
Hello.
Rogean.
Hey, guys.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a very special roundtable discussion on Sirken Supercast. Officer Brad McQuaid.
Hello.
Pantheon's Director of Development, Salim Grant.
Hey, what's up?
And Pantheon's PR Manager, Ben Durantaye.
Hey, guys.
They're here about to talk about their new game, Pantheon. Before we get started, we're going to have some special giveaways during the stream. So if you'd like to participate, you must have a Twitch account for a chance to win a Guise of the Deceiver. And be sure to stick around for the whole stream so you don't miss any of our big announcements regarding Project 1999 and Pantheon. So guys, tell us a little bit about the Pantheon development team and why this is such a good group to be making this kind of game.
I think that's...
Yeah. Salim, you want to take that one? Or
what happened?
Brad's getting a phone call. It's the Brad phone in action.
I just turned the Brad phone on, sorry.
So tell you about Pantheon.
Or the team.
Oh, the team. Well, I mean, we've got a pretty awesome team of developers here. A lot of them have worked on EQ in the past. We've got Valen, who's known for a lot of the EQ2 lore. Also worked on Defiance for Tryon recently. We've got Lenny Gullo. He's known as Tyriously. He worked with me on Vanguard for 4 years. He's a fantastic dude. We've got Jason Wyman. Some people may know him as iKick. You would know him in game if you played EverQuest back in the day on his server as iKick Good. You would know him as a dev on Vanguard as iKick. He's our lead tech guy, and just an all-around awesome dude. All of our team is awesome, by the way. We've got Noah Walling. He's a EQ2 design vet. Also worked on Defiance. We've got Vu, who is responsible for putting in dungeons like Sebulus, North TOV, Unrest. He's currently, if you guys have been following the project, he's currently been releasing screens of a dungeon he's working on for us called Sunken Sanctum. We've got James Rochelle, who is our concept artist and our art director. And yeah, once again, he's an awesome dude. Everyone's awesome. Got Corey Lefevre, who's also another designer that worked on Vanguard. Just all around, we got a great team. I could keep going on if I didn't miss anybody. I'm pretty sure that's everybody.
Yeah, you got it.
But yeah, that's our team.
Ben?
Oh, Ben's here.
Yeah.
Ben, all right.
I can defend myself.
Oh wait. We've also got this other guy. I mean, he's you might have heard of him. His name's Brad McQuaid, something.
Braid.
Oh,
that was
gotcha.
we got that on a website when we made the announcement for the stuff that we're doing with Portalarium, and they got Brad's first name as Braid, which was kind of an internal joke for a little while. Braid McQuaid. It's awesome.
Now I have to grow a neck beard now so I can braid it.
That's my next character, Braid McQuaid. Yes.
Yeah.
I would play a game made by Braid McQuaid. Just putting it out there.
You know what? Let's change my name on all the Kickstarter stuff and see if the pledge is coming in faster.
Oh, I need to see a Pantheon character model with a braided neckbeard.
Yeah, braided neckbeard.
Needs to happen. So basically, you guys have, it sounds like an all-star team working on this game. I know that a lot of you guys have classic experience, I think is what our player base would call it, having worked on the original EQ and Star Wars Galaxies, stuff like that. Just to give everybody an idea, what is Pantheon, and how is it going to be different than other modern MMORPGs that we've seen released recently?
Pantheon is we're building its foundation on EverQuest 1 and Vanguard and a lot of new cool features as well. We don't want to be only thought of as an old school game, because there's lots of neat stuff we can talk about that's fairly new and modern. But the foundation, what really made EverQuest 1 and Vanguard such great games, with Vanguard after it was polished and optimized, but and that is we have a huge open world. You're not on rails. It's much more of a sandbox than it is a theme park. People like to talk about those two terms. It's about grouping. Soloing will be very difficult in this game. This is all about grouping. It's a class-based game, so you have a role in that group that you need to fulfill. Just like on a soccer team, if you're playing a forward, you shouldn't act like the goalie or what have you. And we think that's all. So a lot of those concepts we've seen kind of go away in the last 5 or so years, and we think they need to be brought back. A lot of people seem to think they need to be brought back. I've been receiving emails for years now saying, "Brad, please bring back that experience." And back in August, September timeframe, Sony Online did some major layoffs. A little bit before that, Tryon shut down their San Diego office. And so there were a lot of people out there who were looking for jobs, and there was a subset of that group that were looking to stay here in the San Diego area. We really call this area home. So it was pretty easy to find each other and to realize that not only did we want to make this this classic style game with modern components, but also we wanted to stay here in San Diego and have our building, our offices here. And so that's kind of who we are. Like Salim was saying, we're veterans in the industry. That's why we're here, and that's kind of what Vanguard is. That classic experience with a kind of a modern twist.
Brad, could you touch a little bit, if you could, on what maybe the group sizes would be for Pantheon, and if why you decided to go with that number?
We're looking at somewhere between 6 and 8 players. The reason why we're looking at that number, but that range of levels, of characters, is we have the Holy Trinity in the game, the DPS, the tank. We also have control. So there's really 4 roles in the game, and if you want to do well, in a group going up against a boss encounter or something like that, you need to have those roles filled in your group. But each class, fits into a role, but the way they play that role, the way that role feels, the strategy they use in that class to fulfill that role, all those will differ. So by having a larger group size, one, we get to, you can have whoever you want really in there in terms of classes, as long as you meet those 4 roles. And the second big important thing is you can have 4 or 5 or 6 whatever really experienced players, and you can still bring in a newbie who isn't as skilled playing his character and not have him necessarily screw up the encounter. When you have a smaller group size, we've seen it where those people who want to learn how to play better, who want to expose themselves to the teamwork, that can be attained with a game like this. We've seen it where those people just aren't welcome, because it's not necessarily that people are being mean. It's simply that if they brought that person in a smaller group size, that their success rate could really go down. So we want it to be larger so that we can really push the social component of the game, the community building. Community is so important to us. People being social with each other, making friends that last, not just for our game, but last 10 or 15 years from now. I still have friends that I mudded with back in the early '90s, and it's because of these real social experiences. So that's why that's kind of the logic or the reasoning behind the larger group size.
Just to speak to group size in general and roles, one key thing about EverQuest that really made it awesome is, having a group size of 6, but having varying classes that could do different things. It made the day-to-day or even the hour-to-hour XPing or rating or whatever feel different. When I go into Seb and I'm taking on, whatever camp I'm taking on, today I may have a rogue and something else in my group makeup. Tomorrow I may not, but I still want to do that. So it actually helped change the game up because you had to do what you could with what you had, right? And that's the type of stuff we definitely want to bring back. I mean, the notion today generally tends to be, hey, who does the most DPS? I want to be DPS class, regardless of what I'm playing. I want to just push that number higher. We want to bring back the notion of I am a tank and I'm going to tank, and when I perform as well as a tank, it's going to be reflected. People are going to see that and they're going to want me to be their tank because they're serving their role. They may be DPS, they may be doing crowd control, they may be doing whatever. We want to bring that back in, but we also want to, have people challenge things. We don't want them having an optimal group. We don't want group size to be too big because then you just always have the optimal group. You always have all the tools you need. We want you to take on things with different tools and just see what happens. That definitely is one big thing about playing EverQuest, low level to high level, is taking on these challenges with different tools in your tool set.
I like it. As far as the social thing goes, I heard you guys talking before about how you kind of wanted to go more of a horizontal leveling instead of a vertical leveling. Could you guys talk about that?
We can't. Well, yes, but only briefly. That is a system that
it was really intriguing to me. That's why I have to ask.
And no, absolutely, and it's intriguing to us. One good way to put it is here's what we're trying to avoid. We're trying to avoid a very vertical, a thin vertical system where everyone gets into the game and just power levels through everything, skips all the content that's lower level, skips all the content that's mid level, and just rushes to the top. And we want to create content and not waste our time. It's I don't want to have us make this great level 15 dungeon that's fantastic, but no one ever goes there because they just power level right by it. So we want to avoid that, and one of the ways we think we can avoid a lot of that is by having fewer levels, and having each level take a longer time to get through. Although there'll be other ways to monitor your progression and development. But by having the fewer levels, and you get more content per level, and by having less levels, you can let more people group with each other. So, a guy that's one level and there's another guy 1 or 2 levels below him, because there aren't 50 levels or 60 or 80 or 100, they can still get together. Like, they can say, hey, my friend's a couple levels behind me, but he can still go into this area with me and help me out and learn the area. So there again, we're going back to how important the social component is. So there's that, the social, and just the fact that we don't want to make a bunch of content that no one's going to enjoy. We know that we have a smaller company. We're working on a very focused, targeted game, MMO, and we just simply won't have the resources to risk making a lot of content that no one ever uses.
So kind of speaking towards that, with the horizontal leveling, do you guys have plans for other gameplay elements or styles, either to advance your character or just to do things in the game?
Are you talking about stuff like AAs and stuff?
Well, AAs or trade skills or exploration. or just any kind of creative ideas for just different gameplay styles that you guys may have planned?
Well, I mean,
Basically, why is a raider going or a player going to keep logging in when they hit max level? What's the hook?
well, I mean, obviously, one of the biggest things for that is AAs, but also in crafting in the perfect world, if we had the money, out the gate, obviously it's a part of our plan. Right now, it's a stretch goal, and it's a stretch goal because we want to make sure that we spend the time needed to make an awesome crafting system that is integrated well into the game and reinforces the whole social aspect. But we're also placing a big onus on exploration and rewarding people for doing, for exploring the world and taking on challenges and, dealing with danger, which kind of bleeds into the horizontal leveling stuff. I mean, we haven't worked it all out, so it's hard to talk about it right now. So it's all experimental stuff, but I think that if it works out how we want it to, that the styles of gameplay, they all kind of pull back into the advancement, right? So it's not. Don't think about horizontal leveling as just I get XP and increment a number, and because we're talking about fewer levels, it's just this longer bar to get to the end. Think about things like what you're doing to get there, and all these different styles of play, and how they can somehow fold back into your overall progression. So yeah, I would say yes. We're doing a lot of things to support different styles of play. Outside of just saying we're doing crafting or A's, it's really goes into the exploration and you taking on challenges and things like that kind of work with your progression.
And we're looking at just a couple more things I would add. Another system we can't go into detail about, but the achievement system, may require you to do tasks that aren't just getting experience over and over again. And then your question before of why when I hit level max level, what do I do? And there'll be A's and such, but by having more content per level, you're going to hit. You're still going to have to spend a lot of time. It's not like easy to get to the max level. It could very well take you just as much time as on a more traditional MMO. So you'll be watching your AAs and your skills and your other achievements go up as because your actual level is going up so slowly. But there will be at any given time, at any given level, more content. So what do you do when you reach max level? Is you keep acquiring all the awesome loot and items in the game, because likely, even though you just reached max level, it's likely you haven't been everywhere, and it's likely you haven't obtained every item you ever wanted to obtain. For a player like that, we can never keep ahead of the curve with the real power gamer who just eats up content. Although I think this will allow us to better provide that person with content. But we will have expansions, digital downloads. We will be updating the game post-launch, and even the gamer who's reached max level, has done all the achievements, has collected all the different situational items and gear, has done all the AAs, and their skills are totally pimped out. Then hopefully, or once that's kind of where the player base is getting close to, well, then that's the time we need to launch an expansion. We need another big tier of content.
So speaking towards exploration, what kind of plans do you guys have for travel in Pantheon?
Travel, I mean, we got pretty standard stuff. I mean, you will have, obviously, you can get around on your feet, you can get around on mounts. Mounts have varying speeds and tiers. How extensive mounts are, we still haven't worked out. And we have class-based teleportation. Right now, the wizard and potentially the pet class will be our two classes at launch that would have this hyper teleportation. But we also have this other system that we're talking about putting in. So if you're familiar with our lore, or if you're not familiar with our lore, our planet is made up of a lot of different planes that have just kind of collided together. And you are a fallen hero from one of these other realms, and you're just trying to get your artifacts and your powers back. And along the way, you're also absorbing and discovering the abilities of other heroes that have fallen, which kind of leads into our combat system. But the planet itself just has a lot of this crazy magic, and this crazy magic is the core of how teleportation works. So right now we're kind of messing with this notion that we have a lot of wild magic in the world, and so there are points where you could go to that point and maybe on the network go somewhere else, but there is an inherent problem because it's all wild magic. So if I found this pocket, I don't know if anyone's familiar with Rift, the Palladium paper and pencil game. They have ley lines. So imagine that we have this network of these kind of weird ley lines, but they're completely wild. They're completely out there. And while you could go find a pocket of energy and perhaps use it to go from one to the other, the problem is that these pockets of energy are completely wild. There's no civilization around them. So getting to them and using them is in no way simple. But if you happen to get to them and you happen to be around there, maybe you can use it. And if you do use it, because the magic is wild and untamed, you could land in a spot that's extremely dangerous. They're in no way controllable. But they add to the world in itself because the magic, it goes back to the fact that we just have this crazy magic and we want to actually pull from it. And from this magic, we've developed this sect of what we call wild mages, and they kind of guard these things. So it's basically constantly dangerous to use these pockets. On top of that, our wizard class is based on these wilders, is what I call them. And right now we're experimenting with the notion that while the wizard can teleport to safe spots, the spires and stuff, reference EQ. The wizard itself, I'm releasing information here the first time. The wizard itself is constantly on like this edge, right? He can teleport, but he's messing with this really powerful energy, so he's always on edge. So he's kind of teetering on the balance of sanity. And we're trying to figure out a mechanic for the wizard where he can literally just go berserk and become like this wild mage and use these pockets of energy to just like completely destroy stuff. There's consequences and stuff like that. But we wanted to really play on the magic of the world. And when we thought about travel, like, yeah, you know what? I don't want people thinking that we just have instant travel and things like that. But I can't let the potential here go. So, yeah, maybe you could use it. Maybe it'll take a long time before you can use it. Maybe you have to sit and wait, and there's a lot of danger around you. It's not in any means meant to be the main way to travel, but it is there if you just happen to be around there.
Maybe you can attune yourself to it over time.
You can, yeah, and you can like one thing that we talked about was, hey, there's this, around here is a pocket of magic that would let you attune to it, but you got to find it. You have to offer things to it to actually attune to it, and it's still dangerous because there are these wild mages around that are completely, utterly, crazy because they're filled with power. So it's really high concept right now, but our Tony loves the concept.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
It also kind of fits in with our climate system that we've talked a little bit about, where you have regions of high magic and you have other regions of heat, of cold, of confusion, of silence, and you're going to need to be able to deal with these different areas with your gear and with your skills. And the people that have the right gear and skills will do better in those areas. So that's another big part of how we're setting up the world, including these areas of wild magic.
But I mean, one key thing that I definitely want to bring home is that we want. I don't like operating in the sense of people don't like this, so let's just not do it. I mean, that can apply to some things, but I'm more in the realm of, hey, well, how was this put in, or why don't people like this? Is the concept solid? Is the concept cool? Okay, the concept's cool. Let's see how we can fit it into our world or our philosophy, without completely screwing up our identity. And that's kind of why I decided to go this way with travel, because I'd rather have people say, hey, I could do that, but I'd rather jump on my mount and kind of and explore the world, which is what I would rather us focus on, but also still be able to put in some cool system, because like I was saying about the wizard, we were also talking about because they're so attuned with magic, if they get near one of these pockets, they could just go psycho. You get near one of these and your screen blurs and stuff like that, because as a wizard you're just on the edge, and now you're just teetering. Just the visuals. I'm sorry, I'm getting really excited. Just the visuals of it. I was actually talking to our tech lead and one of their designers about it. And I'm like screaming into the mic because I'm like, oh yeah, and he could just destroy the land, and I'm just going crazy, and I'm like, when it all is said and done, like he looks on the battlefield and he's completely worn out. He just looks over, his party is decimated, the dragon's been killed, and he just looks, and his party looks over like, you're paying for my res. So it just like that whole concept.
Or he takes the loot and runs. I don't know.
Or he does. Well, he's tired. Right? He's completely worn out. But and we're all laughing about it because it's just like they're laughing at me because I'm getting so excited. But then just the concept in general is like, man, I have never seen that before, experienced that before in MMO, and I'd love to figure out a way to make it work, especially with the type of lore and stuff we have. There is so much potential with the lore that Tony's come up with. I get thrilled every morning thinking about what we could do with it.
And to touch really quick on one of Salim's points, I think that's kind of one of our tenets as a group of developers, as a company. And see, he was talking about, there's an idea and there's an implementation of that idea, and we really want people to understand that we're looking at the idea, and just because maybe you've seen an similar implementation that wasn't great, that doesn't mean we're not going to do it great. I'll bring up another example. As one of our stretch goals, we really want to get into exploring vast underwater areas where we can change the physics, and you've got to swim through and use different items, use a trident or something because a sword doesn't work very well, and obviously have some sort of spell on you that allows you to breathe underwater, and I brought some of that up before, and some people have said, yeah, but I played this one MMO, and just controlling your movement in the water really was difficult. It sucked. We really didn't care for it. And I'm like, you know what though, that's implementation. That's not idea. I think the idea of people wanting to explore different environments where different things are going on, and they have to equip themselves in certain ways and use different strategies, and where they are experiencing even different physics. I know that's what people want. They just also want us to do it right, and that's what we're committed to doing, and that's why we're also very careful. As excited as we're getting too, I'm getting pretty excited talking about this stuff. But that's why we say also, here's something set in stone will tell you if something is something we think is a really good idea, but we need to get it into the implementation stage. We're going to be honest with you guys and be upfront and to keep it real with that too. So that's we have different levels of confidence for different ideas, and we'll let you know about those and what stage they're at.
Quick question still about the magical stuff, if I could. I heard you talking a little bit about different colors and a little bit of something being based off MTG. I only caught part of it because I was back and forth. But what's that about with the colored magics?
I think you're talking about maybe me talking about combat in a couple interviews ago or something.
Maybe. I think you said referenced a paladin finding something and finding more of them, and
so our comment, the way
I mentioned Magic of the Gathering recently too, so it's probably people talking about.
I think it was from the MMO Buff interview.
Okay.
Maybe, it's so. The way our combat works is so if you take spell slots from EQ or like the limitations that Guild Wars had when you'd actually go out in PvP, you could only bring so many things with you, or you can only have so many spells loaded. We've taken that concept, and it's kind of a core of our combat. The focus is on going into a fight. You want to be prepared. You only have so many tools that you can use. And the way that you do that is by basically you find these templates in the world. These templates are linked to, heroes, heroes that have fallen in the world. And the templates have like color affinities and stuff like that based on their class. And then abilities have color affinities, and slotting the right color in there gives some bonus or some a debuff to it, things like that. But you can mix and match within limitations. So a template may start out with 3 slots and green, blue, and orange, and you can slot abilities in there. But as you use that template, it levels up and it'll unlock more slots. It'll get passives. The special hero ones, if you level it up high enough, you'll be able to take on a look of that hero and gain some extra benefit to it. But really, when you're out of combat, if this group of 3 requires that you need to load a stun and this, that, and the other, you would go in and swap out your templates, and there's some mem time involved and stuff like that. So that's where that comes from. And really, I guess the magic reference is most apt in reference to the fact that it's basically the hand that you've drawn. When you start combat, this is the hand that I've drawn, and here are the abilities that I have. I can't draw anymore, although we've been toying with maybe one of our classes having some weird like Joker-esque flip ability where they could summon a random card. But this is what I have dealt to me. Some cards may have charges, or some abilities may have charges. Some abilities may be 100% mana based, or some abilities may require that this particular thing be going on before they can be used. But yeah, that's basically a quick rundown of the combat.
Yeah, and that's right on it. I guess Magic the Gathering has influenced us all in a big way. I'm a huge fan. I've been playing since '94. I still get together with a group every Friday night, and we play hardcore, vintage, multiplayer. Anyway, another way that Magic has influenced us is the way that if you play that game and you play it with somebody who's new to that game, they typically only have cards in their deck that support what the theme or the combo that they're looking to get off. And as they start playing the game, most of them fairly quickly realize, wait a sec, I can't just have cards in there that help me with my plan and strategy. I need to have answers in there for the other guy's strategy. I need to have counter spells. I need to have deflection. I need to be able to turn. Instead of losing life, make it gaining life. So we've also put that into our combat system, and Salim touched on that, and that is you need to stop and think before you go up against a serious encounter, and choose carefully what spells and abilities you're going to use in that encounter. Because if you go in there and you just want to do damage or something, and you don't have any answers for what that creature can do to you, then you're not going to do very well. What if the mob, this boss mob, what if he silences the room, and the spells that you have memorized are all verbal based? They're not based on signs and movements. Well, now you can't cast anything. So you've got to think. You hopefully that you may find that out because you're the first people to ever do that mob. But shortly after that, I think it's going to get around. Hey, by the way, when you're fighting so and so, we found that the following combinations of spells and abilities work best, and he's very different than this other boss mob where you have to use a very different strategy. So that also is where Magic has kind of influenced us in so many ways.
One other thing to touch on combat real quick is that we don't want people just blindly hitting a rotation, which is why we went into this kind of limited, choose your ability thing. But also, our combat's going to be a lot slower than today's pace of combat. It'll definitely harken back to EverQuest or Final Fantasy XI, because we want you to be able to stop and look and see what's going on and use abilities like stun and snare and stuff like that for what they're intended. I mean, stun. You use stun when Frog is about to cast Ice Comet and decimate someone in your party, not because it's attached to a damage ability that's a part of your rotation. We want to get away from that. We want our combat for you to stop and be able, okay, all right, hang on, I got to type something to somebody, or I got to talk. There's not this constant stress to. If you're not pressing a button, if you're not casting a spell, then your DPS is horrible, or you're not doing well. We don't want our combat to work that way.
So I think we're going to take a moment.
Yeah, we're going to do let's do a quick raffle here just for the players. Just going to take a couple seconds to do this, and we'll get right back into the discussion.
Are we eligible?
Yeah, sure, if you want to be.
Dude, I want it, guys.
And if you're interested in getting a Guise of the Deceiver, all you have to do right now is type !raffle into the Twitch chat.
Oh, man. I can't be in the Twitch chat because it's... Oh, man.
Sure you can. You just have to mute the Twitch.
Yeah, don't be like me at the beginning of the stream where I had to be like, oh my god, there's a loot pack.
Wait.
There they go.
Yeah, right. They all figured it out. They're doing it.
That's a lot of people.
Wow. Are you doing that by hand, or how are you?
No, it's a bot. It'll pick it
Yeah,
up.
there's a bot. No, we'd go insane if we were doing it by hand.
Need a lot of sides on that dice.
We're just going to go into the tunnel, have everybody /ran 1000.
That's awesome.
We'll get that another 30 seconds or so.
Wow, look at all that.
Hey,
A lot of people want that Guise of Deceiver, man.
It's a very hot item.
Oh yeah, I got one on. I believe it was on the it was on the 50 Dark Paw server, the time lock progression server.
Nice.
hey, we are about $1,000 exactly away from hitting 300K.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a big
You'll,
milestone if we can get to 300.
You'll hit that by the end of the night, I guarantee it.
We what people in the chat don't know is that I've already won the.
Guys.
What you guys will get is the guys that when you click it, it'll poof and say ha ha ha.
That was actually a thing.
It was. We had an April Fool's Day one time where everybody logging in randomly got a Guise of the Deceiver. And as soon as they tried to right-click it, it said, haha, April Fool's.
That's crazy.
That's mean.
I remember taking
It sounds like exactly like something Salim would do, too.
Oh, what?
That's right.
All right, let's go ahead and close that up and see who our winner is.
All right.
I feel like we're missing music here or something.
Yeah, some Jeopardy
Or
music.
All
drum
right.
beats.
Our winner is Big Ash 256.
Congratulations, Big Ash 256.
Send me a message either here. Send me a message here on Twitch with your player name, and we'll sort you out.
So we'll be doing a couple more of those hopefully before the end of the broadcast.
Yeah, if you missed out on this one, that's not the last one.
And we still got a lot more other big announcements coming towards the end.
Yes, there's a lot more coming in here. But coming back to Pantheon, I really wanted to ask specifically about the end game, and in particular, something that I know is a really big deal for our player base is raiding. Are you guys going to have raiding? Is that in the works? Do you want to get away from that kind of scene? What did you guys have in mind for that?
Yeah, we'll definitely have rating. I mean, why wouldn't you? And that's another big thing, right? I mean, what person doesn't want to play a game like a social game like this and not like be able to get a band of a bunch of people together and take on something huge? If you don't have raids, then you're never fighting the big dragon. You're never fighting Nagafin or Vox or anything like that, because it just wouldn't make sense that you can defeat them with 6 or 8 or 10 people. Like, what? I don't understand that. So yeah, we definitely want large raids. I think Brad mentioned in the Boogie interview, upwards of 30, but I would say it'd be larger than that, because 30 is, kind of standard today. I mean, Vanguard had 24. So yeah, we're not really focused on being an instance game. We will have the tech to be used in very, very, very particular cases. But we will still have the notion of sweepers, large named mobs like Castle and stuff like that, walking around that will require, multiple groups of people working together, coordinating to take them down. And obviously, there will also be the Dragon's Lair. There will also be Nagafin's Lair, where you have to get a bunch of people and go take them down. It only makes sense, right? So yeah, we want to invest heavily into that scene, but we obviously don't want to take away from what the majority of people do, which is we'll be playing the smaller group to normal group size to content. But yeah, there's no reason for us to shy away from that.
And so it sounds like you guys are, for the most part, going to be staying away from instance content, and most of this is going to be open world.
Yeah, open. I mean, we'll have a zone-based world. The zone size right now is not determined, but it should be decent sized. Yeah, and obviously anything within the zone, it's open, it's free. Go attack it. You're not going to hit it and then pop into an instance somewhere where it's only you and your 6 buddies or whatever. Unless if we want to tell a very particular story to this individual or these people, we would use the tech for that. But we like a world where everyone can see what's going on and participate. We like the notion of there being some sort of competition and people racing for mobs. That's exhilarating. That's fun. As long as it's healthy competition, doesn't turn into people shouting racial slurs in chat and stuff like that. I'm all for it.
So what I'm really curious, and I know that you guys have touched on this a little bit in some other interviews, but I think our player base is really interested to know, if I die in Pantheon, what's going to happen to me?
Pronoun.
Yes.
Account deleted.
Yeah.
Excellent.
No, so I've said before that from my point of view, the only way that you can kind of bring back that feeling of respecting and fearing your environment and understanding that there is true danger is by making death sting. Some people will translate to saying making death suck, but I mean really it's death. I mean what else would you expect? So while the death mechanic isn't finalized, we're going to have corpse runs. We're going to have items on corpses. I mean, we're going to have that type of gameplay because there's risk, right? Risk and reward are a big part of what we're making. And I don't want to just give out a bunch of rewards and there's really no risk. I mean, sure, a mob can kill you, but if that death is just me taking 30 seconds to run back somewhere, and yet I'm giving you Uber items, that's not. There's really no risk involved there. So right now the notion is to have corpse runs and XP loss. Whether we do de-leveling is still being discussed. But yeah, we definitely want death sting. I mean, whether we do death state like FF11, where you're in a death state, and if you release, you lose that corpse and lose that XP. Things like that we're still trying to work out. But yeah, we'll definitely have a death penalty that is severe to some extent, and there will be tools to mitigate those things. Getting your XP back through reses or whatever, that stuff will exist. But that's the plan. Like I said, all things can change as we go through development and get feedback, things like that.
So it sounds like with Pantheon, you guys are trying to go back to a more challenging, a more social gameplay style with the travel and player death. Do you guys think that the MMOs that have come out within the last few years, have they gotten, or even just games in general, have they gotten too easy or too simple for their players? Have they been kind of dumbed down? And is that something that you guys want to get away from?
I don't want to say that the games are dumbed down. I mean, I just think it's a different experience. I mean, playing, World of Warcraft versus EverQuest, they're just two different experiences, right? I mean, Blizzard made a game that targeted, these particular people. They took, the notion of EverQuest and DAOC and all those games before it, and they kind of crammed them all together and say, hey, here's our game in this cool world that we have that we know you guys love. And I played a lot of WoW, and I had a blast. Was I expecting it to be EverQuest? Not at all. I was expecting it to be World of Warcraft. So for us to say that we have challenge and another game doesn't, I think is incorrect. Challenge is relatively subjective to people. So I think our game will just be, it'll be its own identity. We're targeting a particular group of people, and we think that we can succeed targeting those people, and our game will just stand out. And I think Brad, can probably speak to his point about, the targeted MMO, we hope is coming up. Like, people who want to target a smaller audience and give them that really polished and refined feeling without having to worry about all the outside stuff that takes away from that, because we're trying to reach, more people and by diluting it. Hopefully that is on the horizon. Hopefully we can be one of those games that kind of brings it back. Because today's games, I mean, I'm fine. If you're talking about console experiences, games like Dark Souls, think about the success of Dark Souls relative to other stuff. I mean, you play a game like Last of Us or Uncharted 2. Was Uncharted 2 a challenging game? It wasn't necessarily challenging, but I tell you what, it's some of the best time I've spent playing a game in the past 10 years, right? Because it was just awesome experience. Same with Last of Us. Last of Us wasn't necessarily a challenging game, but it had you on the edge of your seat because of its experiences. Great. Dark Souls is a challenging, kick you in the ass game that is completely and utterly unforgiving, and I love every single moment of it. I don't care if I just lost 3 hours worth of XP because I died on my way to my corpse, or if I'm just experiencing the way they tell their story through the world and things like that. It doesn't matter to me. All those things are individual experiences. I don't think you can really compare them to each other because it's just, is it entertaining to you? Do you enjoy it? And yeah, it's an awesome game, and hopefully we can do that same thing with the people that we're targeting.
And I think real quick, one point I want to make there too, though, is we want to bring back a lot of that challenge that Salim was just talking about, and we want to bring back the open world, and we want to bring back a lot of things, but we really don't want to promote this game as just a throwback or a copy of the past because we like to reminisce. There are a lot of new systems in the game, some of which we've already talked about. But I just wanted to make sure we have that foundation that we know works for the type of player that we're targeting, and so we have that background. And we're building on Vanguard. We're building on EverQuest 1. We're building on all of our experiences working on different MMOs. But the game is also going to be exciting and new as well, and have its own feel to it. And it's not going to feel. You're not going to log in, and you're going to log in, and you're going to feel comfortable because you played EverQuest. But you're not going to be like, oh, here we go again. It feels exactly the same.
Yeah.
I I think that kind of goes back to some of the stuff that you were talking a bit about earlier, Brad, and Salim as well, in terms of just, interpreting the effect from the cause. I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos and testimonials about people with their experiences in the past in games like EverQuest and other games as well, and it wasn't necessarily the difficulty of the game that brought out the magic. It was really the social interaction. Like I was watching one today where one guy he was telling about his story when he first traveled across Fadewer and then through Antonica and got killed in High Pass Hold and after 9 hours and then popped back up in Kelethin after 9 hours of travel, and he's like, and that was the best experience of my life. But the reason that what made it good was the fact that after he died and pretty much lost all of his stuff, a couple of people approached him and said, "Hey, you know what? Tell us your story. We'll help you out." And I think that's really kind of what the magic is. It's not the punishment that you spent 9 hours and then you lost everything. It was that there was people there. You were in a situation that allowed people to be helpful and allowed people to interact. And I think that's really where the magic is, and I think that's kind of what Pantheon is going for here.
Absolutely, all the mechanics and functionality that we're putting into this game, whether it's based on old school stuff or new, more modern ideas, it's all there to create a social experience where people find friends that they then later meet in real life, or spouses, or what have you. That's what happened with EverQuest. It happened a bit with Vanguard, and even though it was a smaller population base, and we want to capture that again. It's about making something making more than a game. Is it a game? Yes. The games have rules and areas and mechanics, and we have all of that, of course. And is it going to be a fun game? Yeah, I think our combat system is going to be an absolute blast. I think our lore, which gives us a lot more creative freedom to build all these crazy, wacky zones where we can change the physics and the different strategies and situational items. All that I'm really excited about, looking forward to. But if all of that is wasted, we don't also create a game that builds a community, that supports a community, that creates friendships and allows for that shared experience and the sense of accomplishment you get when you achieve something in a group as opposed to by yourself.
I actually really wanted to ask, could you guys fill us and our players in a little bit, just a basic outline of the lore for Pantheon? Because I was reading it on your Kickstarter page, and it sounds amazing. It sounds like a really cool backstory. It sounds like you guys have a lot of cool characters. If you could just fill us in a little bit on what that's all about.
Also, I heard it was one of the guys that was involved with the lore from EQ1.
Yeah, Valen, Tony Garcia. Yeah, he's EQ1 and EQ2 lore guy.
Early lore too. Tony, it was Tony and Bill Trost and Kevin McPherson who did the early lore, what people consider a classic EverQuest. EverQuest plus the first couple of expansions. And Tony was one of those three guys that worked on all that and put all that together. And when he told us he was interested, we were just stoked, like, oh, absolutely. Because to us, the lore is also an important part of the game, and hearing about the story and understanding who you are and why where you're at and what you're trying to achieve. And so we wanted to get that. We didn't want that to be an afterthought. Where we just make a hack and slash game and then shove some more in there at the end. So we brought Tony on board, and he's come up with really an amazing background to the world. And I'll let Salim talk a bit about the actual lore.
Well, I mean, basically, and I mentioned it earlier, the world is, Terminus is basically an amalgam of a lot of planes that have just kind of collided, and as a result, we have these different, pantheons that exist in the same place. and obviously from there you can imagine the craziness that can ensue. But when you talk about different planes, I mean they could literally be anything. I mean the potential is there, like, to do all kinds of crazy stuff with expansions and things like that. But the individual player, one thing that we wanted to not do is have this epic story where you are the guy that does everything, and when you get out of like your cutscene or talking to an NPC, you turn around and there's another one of those the guy that is the only way that you can save the world. We wanted to somehow work into our story once again reinforcing the social aspect that you are one of many people that need to rise up to save the day, basically. So your character is a fallen hero who was fighting a battle somewhere else, and now you've risen on Terminus because it's the center of magic. And as you go through the game, you're going to collect pieces of your artifacts that once belonged to you, and you're going to kind of get memory back. And you're also, like I said, I was talking about combat. You're going to be able to interact with other heroes that have fallen and harness their powers, which turns into abilities that you can slot into different templates. So that's a basic primer of it. Tony can certainly speak a little better, but yeah, it's pretty awesome. I mean, he and I have been talking about stuff, and he'd be like, "Hey, I'm thinking about doing this." Like when he and I talk about the travel stuff, I'm like, this works well in our world, but I really wanted to make sure you were cool with it. And when I told him, he's like, yes, like I already got this thing written. I'm like, God, you've already covered all bases. The fact that I can say, hey, let's do this, and I think it'll work with our lore, and you're like, yeah, I've already got this thing written out, work really well with that. So it's so much potential. Sorry, I'm getting excited again. Let me calm down.
No, that's good.
To me, it's the creative freedom that it gives us.
Yeah.
We're not, we can really go anywhere with it. I've mentioned in other interviews that doesn't mean we're going to leave fantasy. You're not going to come across a starship and fly out to the moon. But we can do some wacky, crazy, exciting stuff because we're not limiting ourselves with pure high fantasy. It's all going to be fantasy, but it can get kind of weird. It can get different, and we want you to feel that difference when you're since exploration is so important to the game. We want you to really feel that difference when you go from one zone to the next.
Yeah, and I think that the one thing I really love about our lore is I think people are seeing it as it comes out of our class design, that especially with the release of the Rogue, that we are, we want to give people the familiar feel, of classes from earlier games, but because of what we can do with our lore, because of what the world represents, we can do really kooky stuff, like the plane shifter side of the Rogue. It's just got so much really cool potential, and unfortunately, I can't have starships in the game, which Brad won't. But
I just killed Salim's dream.
Yeah, I want to have cars driving around. That's one of our mounts, right? The taxi from Roger Rabbit. But I'm joking. I'm joking, everyone. This is a joke. But yeah, Tony's written some great stuff, and that stuff will come out, as the Kickstarter goes off, and once we get funded, because we are getting funded, everyone. We know that. More lore will be released, and more heroes will be released, and people will see just how great this lore is.
I think that it's really cool that because of the way you guys have the lore set up, exactly what you were just talking about, there's so many opportunities to do so many different things, and to have so many different settings within that world. I think that the direction you guys took is just absolutely brilliant, and I think it's going to make for a fantastic backstory. I think we should maybe do a giveaway, Rogean, Sirken.
Sure.
Yeah, give me 1 second. Turn it on.
It'll be on by the time the stream delay gets to them.
Well,
and we get spammed.
We could probably take a question while they spam the word raffle in chat. I figure since they're arguing about it, and I gave you the warning, in a perfect world, will Pantheon have some kind of PvP server?
Yes.
That's good enough.
Well, PvP is a stretch goal, and what that means one of two things. That either means we achieve the stretch goal and have the resources to implement a robust PvP system right away, or it means we don't have the resources to do it right, and we don't want to do any system in a rush. We want to take the time to do something right, whether it's crafting, PvP, what have you. And so if we can't do that at launch because of how the funding turned out, then we'll do it as an expansion. So it's coming. We all want it. We want to see PvP. I love alternate rule set servers. I like to have the game. Hope the game is popular enough to have enough servers where we can have a PvP server and a role-playing server, progression, what have you. So it's coming. It's going to be well thought out. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's just a matter of whether it's in the initial launch or not.
That sounds great. And I guess one more, maybe quick one. Boats. Can you tell us anything about boats?
Yeah, and that's the same thing. So, same type of thing. Basically, what we're generally calling water content, and that is we want there to be places you can only get to with a ship. We want you to have to build a ship and to maintain your ship. We want you to be able to be attacked while you're on that ship by pirates or a kraken. We want you to take that ship to areas where maybe there's like a fallen, an underwater city that fell, like the Atlantis story. So we want to do all that and make this, and make the game not just about dungeons and overland, but also about water exploration. But again, that's not just let's just slap it on there, and with Vanguard we only got part of that system in. So you can have your ship and it would look cool, but there was really no content for it. So it also, underwater content, including ships, is also a stretch goal. If we pull in the money that we'd love to pull in, and that would allow us to launch with it. Otherwise, you'll see it one day as an expansion.
Well, I love all of that. And winner of the raffle, Unidis82. Send me a private message with your player name, and we'll get you set.
I thought that did I hear you correctly? You said Solias01. Awesome.
Sounds legit.
Sounds legit.
Sounds very legit to me.
As you can probably tell, we don't group often with Salim because he's the ninja of the group.
Oh, what?
This guy's ninja looting everything as it drops. Give me all those crossbone belts.
When Salim first saw that we were going to do a KS site, he thought it was a kill stealing site.
Oh,
he's like, I'm all over that.
He's like, yeah, let's do that. Let's make a kill stealing site. So,
wow. Thanks, guys.
Just right under the bus.
He's a team player, you guys. It's really obvious. We can all tell. I've heard this, or I've seen this question pop up a lot, and it's actually one that I didn't originally think of. What are your guys' plans for the economy and trade in general? I guess not really the economy, but trade in general for Pantheon.
Most items will be tradable. I think that's the core of that question. I don't foresee us really having anything like bind on equip if we can avoid it. No drop stuff would, be rarely used. I think that from my point of view, the more you have to put into getting an item, the more freedom you should have with it. And what better way to simulate a player economy than hey, I got this item. You want to buy it from me? If you got the money, then let's do it. So as far as items go, yeah, majority of them would be tradable. I mean, there's obvious things that wouldn't be tradable. I mean, you know, some not quest rewards, but quest items and stuff like that we don't want you just giving out. But yeah, as far as that goes, that's the answer to that side of the question. Brad can speak to more broad player economy stuff.
Well, yeah, like Salim said, it's all about the player-driven economy. We want people to be able to go for, you know, and risk themselves and their groups by going deep into an uncharted or remote area and come back with items and sell them for a profit in more civilized areas. To do that, you know, if our auction houses will be based on where players want to be trading items, and they will not be global to that server. They're going to be local. So, you know, a global system takes a lot of that price variation out. And, you know, especially when you can, like, there it is, I pay for it, and now it's mailed to me. I didn't have to go anywhere. So, we think that our player base that we're targeting enjoys that kind of Silk Road situation where some of them want to be merchants and make a lot of money by moving these goods back and forth across this vast world. So to do that, like I said, we're going, you know, local. It's a player-driven economy. We realize that making most items tradable, except, you know, quest components like Salim mentioned, we realize that could also affect, you know, what's been called mudflation, and that, you know, that's a term that goes way back into the late 80s, early 90s, and that is if you don't restrict it to some degree, before you know it, all the newbies have, you know, fiery scimitars or something. So we have lots of ideas to slow down mudflation. You can take your items to a temple and sacrifice them to one of Pantheon's deities for you know, a long-term buff that will benefit you for quite some time. Many of the quests will require you to turn in an item that's high level and powerful that you already have. I talked briefly about situational gear before. I'll go into it in more detail. And that, you know, in the game where you're going to have different climates and you're going to have different mob types. And by climates, I'm using that word really generally. It's not just hot or cold. It's also, you know, is this area, does it have poison gas in it, or does it have a spell of confusion or silence in it in that area? And so you'll need items to protect yourself and to excel and to conquer regions like that. So we believe the player will be he's going to be more of a collector. This is where the collectors are really going to love Pantheon, and you can probably tell I'm a collector, hoarder, whatever you want to call it. But you know, you're going to want to keep different items for different scenarios, for different situations, for different climates. So that means at any given time, if you're a such level crusader, there isn't just one sword that's the best sword in the game, because it's more than just about DPS or, you know, how much damage that weapon does. Does it have, maybe it has Bane capabilities where it does double damage against giants, or maybe this ring of fire resistance allows me to enter this whole lava based shard or region and not take constant damage. Or maybe I've spent a lot of time up in the Frostlands to the north, and whereas that extreme cold used to affect me negatively, now it doesn't bother me as much. So that all means that people will be holding on to more items. Now, we're not going to make it tedious. Well, we're going to have an outfit system where you can go in and you can take any group of, you know, first you grab your items and you say this is a group of items, and this group is called outfit, you know, whatever, frost survival or silence, you know, offensive, whatever you want to call it, and you can just immediately just click on that and change your gear, because it could be something that surprises you. You could be down in a dungeon and just turn a corner and suddenly the physics change, and you can't hear anybody, and you know, all of a sudden you're in a really scary place. You need to be able to quickly adapt to that to be effective. So by having by it being very important to have all these items and to collect different items and not just have one set that is the best, that will also slow down mudflation. And there's other things in the works as well. So we know it'll be there, and to the extent that it is there, we think is more of a positive than a negative, giving that freedom to players to trade and sell what they want. We just want to give them a lot of other options too, so they're not, it doesn't just all get trickled down.
So I'm actually running towards the end of my questions here. Sirken, Rogean, Nilbog, did any of you guys see some good community questions come out?
Community, if you have a good question, now's a great time to throw it out there.
I actually did see one, if you guys didn't. One of our players, and I'm so sorry that I already forgot your Twitch name, was asking about dungeons, kind of dungeon crawling encounters in general. Are those going to be static, or will they change as you go into the dungeon a second or a third time? I think his big question was, are you going to be able to go online and look at the strategy for a dungeon and then know what the strat is as you're going through it?
Well, right now we're not going to have like AI that learns, how you're thinking and then adjusts itself. Like we're not planning on doing that type of stuff. I mean, the world is open, so you might run to a dungeon and there's another group there and they're pulling mobs or whatever. But environment change, I mean, we'll have things like traps and, maybe we bosses might rotate. I mean, somebody was asking us to put in a notion of, you kill the Pirate King and he never respawns. Something else replaces him at some point. Maybe the son of Pirate King replaces him. But yeah, as far, I mean, yeah, this question is hard to answer because it's a debate of familiarity versus things constantly changing, right? Like if I go in with a group of people and I'm going to crawl in a dungeon and I've done that dungeon 3 or 4 times, I'm teaching someone a dungeon, I want to be familiar with it. I don't necessarily want the dungeon to be new every time I go in there. I mean, why would I go to another dungeon? Yeah, I mean, population might change depending on whether it's nighttime or some special event going on. We might have an alternate rule set for the zone, but in general, yeah, I mean, you'll be able to familiarize yourself with the area. If you want to go online and learn tactics, we can't stop you from doing that. That's what you've chosen. That's how you want to experience the game. We can't stop you from doing that, and we're not going to invest resources into trying to hide a bunch of information. If you want to experience the game, if you want to experience the game organically and not do that stuff, then do it. That's the experience you want. Just because it's on the internet and you can do that doesn't mean you have to do it. I mean, I know people will be like, well, I'm used to doing that, but don't do it. If you want to learn a dungeon, then learn a dungeon. And, you go through it one time, you're not going to know everything. You're going to have to go through it a couple times, especially if a dungeon is a larger dungeon, multiple floors, maybe, like I said, maybe population has changed. So if someone's asking specifically if, like, we're going to have, like story bricks type stuff, that's currently not the plan, but I wouldn't go on the internet to look for tactics. If a boss is kicking my butt and my tactics aren't changing, then maybe after a couple hours, if that's what's happening, I might go see if someone's posted something. But that's almost the same as shouting out, hey, has anyone beaten the Pirate King? Yes. Well, you have any ideas on how to beat him? Well, yeah, you could do this, that, or the other. So, I mean, I think it'll be fine with what we have planned. Any of the advanced AI stuff, we just don't. Right now, we're just not looking at it.
Yeah, I'd say it's really all about balance there. I mean, for a lot of years, players and also developers, is saying we want a dynamic game, and in the real world things change, and so if we're going to create a virtual world, it should change also. And our answer to that is kind of like, well, first of all, the real world, at least my world, doesn't radically change every 6 hours or something, right? I mean, I know where that McDonald's is. I know where that gas station is. I think I know where my parents' house is, things like that. So we don't think players want to log on to an environment that is totally different than what they were encountering yesterday, with totally different mobs or totally different behaviors. Now, that said, though, like Salim mentioned, there could very well be different places. So, key mobs spawn. So there will be some dynamics and some things that you have to learn over time. That's like, well, that such and such only spawns at night. That vampire only comes out at night. Or this crazy boss mob only comes out when it's raining. Or and that's good dynamic. But we don't want to go overboard and have a world that changes so much that you don't feel good about how you've learned how to navigate through the world. That's a big part of that memory and that sense of accomplishment that's paramount to Pantheon. And that is that you get a sense of accomplishment when you achieve things. One of the things you achieve in the game is mastery over a dungeon. How do you achieve that mastery over a dungeon? You and your group go through it. Maybe you get wiped. Maybe you lose some guys. Maybe you have to regroup and come back and employ a different strategy. Like Salim said, maybe you go to a spoiler site. That's up to you. However, but you come back, and then eventually you can say, you know what? At that dungeon, I know that dungeon. I put the time and effort to it. Maybe you want to have me along, and for 20 plat, I'll guide you through it. Oh, okay, or what have you. But we want that sense of accomplishment, and pure dynamic world doesn't allow for that.
Yeah, and even like a personal example. I mean, I've been playing on you guys' server, the past couple weeks, and I mean, the stuff's familiar, but not super familiar. I'm relearning stuff, and I don't really have a problem with it. I mean, just having that slight level of familiarity and being able to recall stuff and go, oh man, I do remember this, and this was fun. It doesn't bother me. I mean, I'm still feeling challenged. I'm obviously starting from the beginning and leveling up. It feels fine to me. I think that familiarity is great. Being able to map out the world in your brain and knowing, hey, this landmark here, that means I got to go, south, so many feet, and there's the Hobbit hole. I mean, I think that stuff's fun.
Yeah, I used to actually navigate Lesser Fadark through using the trees and then finding the one camp and then knowing to keep going southwest from there. Yep. And I have a question, actually. I don't know if any of you guys can answer this, but can you tell me anything about the beetles or the sphinxes in Wrath Mountains?
Oh man, I couldn't.
Is that like
I know what you're talking about, but
taken to the grave, like? Because that's
named
things.
beetle in
what's his name?
Agamemnon or something like that.
I thought that there was a story released about what I don't know. Tony might know.
Tony would probably know. Here's what I remember. It didn't have anything to do with the beetles, but there were sphinxes there, right?
Yes, there were.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's quite possible, though, those, or at least some of those, are part of the original Fiery Avenger quest that we never finished. Because you were going to go around the world talking to these different sphinxes and being given a riddle. And once you've done all that, you could take the riddle back to the guy that's asking for it. And that was part of the Fiery Avenger quest that never got completed. That's the only thing I remember of putting. I remember putting some sphinxes out there. I don't know.
I just wanted to give a quick shout out to the community listening. We have passed the 300 grand tonight, which is a major milestone for us. So thank you all for your pledges.
Woo! Yes, awesome. Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you guys for making a game that we all want to play.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just you guys; it's me. Like I've been going crazy.
Well, that's the secret that you guys have always said. You made the game that you wanted to play, and not other things.
I think you have to if you want to make a great game. I mean, I know there's maybe that's a strong statement. I know there's people out there who have jobs, and they're programming jobs, whatever, and they have to make a project, and they're not really invested in that project. I'm not saying that they make bad stuff, but when it comes to games and a creative outlet, or maybe I would put books and movies in there too. When it's something creative like that, where you're in a creative medium, telling a story, creating an environment, it's got to be something that you personally care about, and it's got to be something that I would not make a movie that I didn't want to see. I would not make a game that I didn't want to play. Right? I wouldn't write a book I didn't want to read. Not everybody in other situations have that wonderful situation that we're in. Sometimes other people in other industries have to work on what they're told, but we have the luxury of being able to make something and pour our creativity into it and have it turn out hopefully really good because it's what we really wanted to make. I also wanted to really say thanks to you guys and to your community. We've talked about how this game is, we're kind of trailblazing here, but our vision of the future is that there are multiple smaller MMOs out there targeting specific audiences and not costing $80 million and not trying to please everybody all the time. Understanding that people are different, they have different tastes. We have different restaurants we go to. We have different cable channels we can flip through. There's not one cable, there's not one really a cable channel that's trying to be all things to all people, right? You go to the military channel, or you go to the cooking channel, or whatever. But so that's important to us, and we're one of the first ones to come out and just say, hey, yeah, you know what, niche isn't necessarily a bad word. We can be smaller, leaner, meaner, and make a focused game. And the reason I really want to stress that point, I've said similar things before, but the guy, you all that are playing the emulator, the P99, you guys are exactly our target. When I've done other interviews with a broader with a broader audience, we realize that a lot of people who are listening to it might be like, yeah, that sounds neat, but it's not really my cup of tea. And then that's just the reality of dealing with social media. But with you guys, I know you're gonna love Pantheon. I know it, and it feels great to be able to talk to you guys and hopefully get you guys excited like we're excited.
Well, I can't even begin to tell you how excited the player base became when we announced that this was going to happen. A lot of them thought it wasn't true at first because, I mean, you guys are actual literal celebrities and
superstars in the game world.
Thanks.
You guys, even.
Thank you. You guys have done an amazing job too, just being able to reverse engineer and I'll say something. I'll say something that might get me in trouble one year or whatever. But if Pantheon is so big and so popular and it lasts so long that a group of guys want to make an emulator for it, more power to them. That just means that we made a fantastic game. So we like you guys. We like the type of player you guys attract. I would like you to ban Salim's account, maybe so that maybe we can talk about that offline or something. But other than that, keep it up, and we look forward to seeing you guys in Pantheon.
we can follow Salim around, death touching him. If that
works.
That's even more fun. I can just imagine Salim. What the heck's going on? Freaking out.
Or we can just run invisible trains on him, and he won't even know it's happening. He'll just die from a huge train of mobs. Like, where the heck come from?
Yeah, next week, Salim comes up to me and he's like, Brad, I was having fun on that on Product P99, but it's just really turned into like this crazy mess. I'm getting trained, and
speaking of training Silius, I believe he's going to have an encounter with an asp in a second.
Oh, what the heck?
Oh, he's getting attacked.
Hopefully, he gets his ass kicked.
The asp did bash him. Actually, it did bash him. It bashed him for 6 points of damage.
We never want to, for no matter what. Terminus is a huge world with a lot of variety of different shards, but at least one of those shards will have native kicking the snakes.
Excellent. Kicking snakes confirmed.
Confirmed, and that's exclusive to you guys, okay?
Oh, that's great.
P99 exclusive. Snakes will kick.
If Snakes Kicking gets this game funded, sure. I'll put snakes in boots. It's fine with me. It doesn't matter.
I have a question. Ever since EQ, I really have not seen like true bards, or I guess even rangers. Some classes that just I miss seeing. Am I gonna see kind of classes like that in Pantheon?
Well, specifically the bard is one of our stretch classes, but when it comes to designing the bard, we would take the same outlook on it as we have with all our other classes. And one key thing about the game in general, I mean, Brad mentioned, we have the Holy Trinity, then we have control, but it's more than that. We really want to get back to the notion of roles, and the bard is, it's huge. From a gameplay standpoint, of course, from a design standpoint, is also a huge nightmare. But for the EQ and Vanguard, you will definitely see classes like that. I mean, the Enchanter, right? The Enchanter he just mezzes a bunch of mobs and he stuns them and stuff. Anyone who's actually played an Enchanter knows that job was constant, especially if you're talking about a place like Chardok. And what we want to do with the Enchanter is invest heavily into that kind of chaotic gameplay that was going on, and I think people are going to dig the stuff we come up with for Enchanter, because we basically took the EverQuest Enchanter and just said, all right, well, how much more crazy can we make this role? How much more fun can we make the notion of crowd control? And at the same time, this person doesn't really care about doing DPS, right? Which was the other beauty about classes like that. The bard was just utility. He was a jack of all trades, master of nothing. Master of AE kiting to some extent, but in general, I mean, that class was fantastic. I mean, if you were an expert bard, people knew it. You absolutely stood out amongst other bards. We will definitely have stuff like that. We'll definitely have classes like that. We look to games like EverQuest, FF11, Vanguard, DAOC. We look to those kind of older games that set the pace and had combat similar to what we're talking about as far as pacing goes for inspiration. Obviously, we look to modern day stuff as well. I can't help it half the time. Brad's talking to me about something, and I'm like, wait, well, they did that like this in this game. I think we could, do this. And he just looks at me like, God, man, can you ever just let me talk? But you'll see that type of stuff. I would love to get all the classes in. We just need to get the money, of course.
Help us.
So on that note, we actually have some announcements to make. So we have two announcements. The first one is, it's more P99 related, but I feel I need to make that announcement because it relates to the second announcement. So just the first announcement real quick, we intend to have Velius Beta out this month for open beta testing for the player base. So with that said, I our second announcement here is related to Pantheon. What we're intending to do is have pledge rewards for our player base for support given to Pantheon. So these rewards will range, depending on how much you pledge, anywhere from an XP potion, entries into further raffles for items, all the way up to and including early access to the official Velius when it gets released on the P99 Blue server. This will range from 3 days early access to 7 days early access, depending on how much is pledged.
Can I hug you guys? Like, holy crap, that's awesome.
You want to mention the items?
Sirken, why don't you put up the rewards splash page?
Oh, I can do that.
You can do that. This is true.
The technology is there.
We've got a lot of different rewards. You guys will see them in just a second here when they come up on the screen. Hopefully that happens at about the same time you're hearing my voice, or it's going to sound really stupid when it doesn't pop up.
Hold on, it's going to sound stupid.
I can live with that. That happens all the time on this stream. It's not a problem.
Well, then real quick, I can also mention that there are a couple asterisks on the early Velius access. One of them being there will not be any raid mobs up until the official Velius launch where everybody can access the zones. And there will be some other things that we'll put restrictions on for the early access people, such as we will be closing Velius the day of launch so that there can be a more official launch for an event of some sorts that we like to do like we did in the past for Kunark. But everything you've done in the early access you'll keep, obviously, and you'll just be kicked out of those zones for that day.
Man, I'm in shock.
Salim's gonna donate to get early Velius access.
So Salim eventually ends up quitting his job because he's playing P99 for so much. It's like, I don't want to do this anymore. I just want to play Project 99.
We're talking about Velius, man. I mean, you're talking about like.
You're making this way too much. We're gonna lose Salim here. You're making this way.
People are asking if they've already pledged support. Don't worry about it. We're coming up with methods that will allow everybody who has already pledged and all those that will pledge in the future to get us their information for this.
Can I just give a brief description of how they're going to do that, and then you can post it later? So if you've already pledged, this is the way we're going to track this. If you are planning to pledge and you have not done so yet, in order to get your reward, you're going to need to pledge with the name P99, your character name on the account you want the reward to apply to, and then your server, red or blue. If you've already pledged, you can go and change your Kickstarter name to P99, your character name, red or blue, and you'll get credit if you've already pledged.
Oh, sweet.
I don't think we need to apply it specifically to red or blue. I think that...
we do, because if someone has a character name that's the same on blue and red, it's two different accounts. We're not going to...
That's true, yeah. If we're doing account name, then yeah, but if it's character name, then yeah.
Yeah, but we don't want to do account name. We want to
yeah, that's true. So, yeah, as you can see, we're still working that process out, but we think that's probably the best way to track it.
So that's how we're going to track that. We'll have... Rogean, I believe, will make a post with the rewards as well as the instructions on how to do that kind of stuff and our little caveats about Velius.
The XP pots, I believe we agreed that they would be tradable.
Yes, the XP pots are going to be tradable. And they will stack with server-wide XP bonuses. Correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So get donating.
So get donating, make sure you use the right Kickstarter name. We really think that you guys as a community can pull together and push this entire project closer to its goal. One of the things that's really big about this project is that because these guys are trying to do crowdsource funding for as much of the project as possible, you guys are voting with your dollars. You're sending a clear message that this is something we want to get made. This is something that we need in this community. This is something we need in the games industry. We want it to get made. Please make it happen. This is your opportunity to send that message. And that's why P99 as a whole, and that's why us as a staff are behind this project and trying to get the word out and get everybody to understand what this great team is doing with this great game.
If you don't donate, you never get to complain about games or gaming again.
Correct. We don't want to see a
It's
single
so
forum
long.
post from you about WoW, clones, or any of that stuff. You guys are all done if you don't donate. No tears.
That's
No
that's
tears.
how I feel about it.
The ocean of tears is already full. We cannot take any more. We're gonna just turn them back.
It's cool, baby. It's cool.
Well, again, thanks.
Yeah, wow. What do we say at this point? Thank you so much, because
yeah.
like I said earlier, it is the people listening to us here. I mean, we use the same language. We're both MMO gamers. We're both looking for that. You guys just announced the Velius thing. I mean, those are the during Kunark and Velius. That's what I've had. I had the most fun. I've mentioned that I've received emails consistently. Probably a couple a week for the last 8 years or more. Dear Brad, please bring us back that experience. And this is that opportunity to do that. And I know that's the kind of experience that you guys are looking for as well. That's why you play P99. And so to be able to sit here and talk to all of you guys who are listening, who love playing on on P99, and knowing that the vast majority of you, I can confidently say, will love playing Pantheon as well. Wow, that never happens where you can just reach out to exactly that type of player that you're targeting. It's a great opportunity. You guys just support the idea of the pledges and everything, and the rewards in game is just brilliant. And I'm just blown away, guys. Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I was saying before, this is a project that we saw, and I told Ben this. We saw this project. We saw what you guys were trying to do. I think pretty much unanimously as a staff, we all said we have to help support these guys. We've got a community that they're specifically targeting for this game. We all like what they're trying to do with it. We need to get behind it, and we need to get everybody else behind it as well. Otherwise, we're just not going to see things like this in the future, and that's a crying shame, to be perfectly honest.
And I want to play this game. So
Sirken, do you have that
I do too.
that character that we made?
I do.
Let's,
I absolutely do.
Let's go ahead and log that in.
All right, we can make that happen.
We did something special.
Oh. But it's not the Braid McQuaid that I saw standing here earlier.
There was a Braid McQuaid game. That's awesome.
They're quick, these ones.
My little brother Braid. Well, it's like other. I don't know. I gotta stay safe. I need my doubles around, right?
Oh man.
I actually have one more question. Brad, I need to know, are Ixars the master race?
That's not rhetorical. That is not a rhetorical question. We demand an answer.
He's serious. Okay, I'll give you an answer. It is quite possible in certain specific climates that they are the best.
Well, you should specify it's probably not going to be Ixars. I mean, for many reasons.
We a reptilian kind of race is what
Reptilian,
I'm saying.
yeah.
Like there may be some races that excel or have advantages in certain climates. So nobody would always win and be the best. I know you're being half serious and everything, but obviously we wouldn't make one race that rules them all. But races will have advantages and disadvantages based on where they are and what's going on.
I love
We're
that.
just going to go ahead and confirm that Ixars are the master race based on that answer.
I probably can't stop you. So yeah.
These are questions our players demand to know.
We ask the
demand
hard
answers.
questions.
That's right. That's why we're here.
Rogean, do you want me to just do something in game, or do you want me just to show it on stream? I'm in CS Home now.
Do you guys have the stream open?
Yeah, I've got the stream open. Yeah.
Brad, do you have it open?
I don't see anything.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, it's just going to show the rewards right now, but I'm just making sure that you have it open right now.
Okay.
And then we'll change the screen when you have it open.
Do 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 do. That's my you have to hold on while I do elevator music sound.
Oh, please, no more of that. No more of that.
Manual elevator music. Brought to you by Project 1999.
Alright, that should be a thing.
No, it should not be a thing. Oh, what's this?
Oh man.
Oh, you got to put the green name
my
on.
God.
Go to the green name. Turn off anonymous.
Now that's a blind.
Hey.
Look at that.
Oh, now I got an ad or something.
That's awesome.
How do I skip this ad?
Oh, all the people who make their money off of YouTube and Twitch, thank you for not using ad blocker.
Yeah, I'm there for them too. I want them to succeed as well. Well, this was for Elder Scrolls Online, so it's a good cause. All right, I'm looking at EverQuest and I'm looking at myself. Awesome.
So we have recreated your character that is there and available for you if you choose to become an honorary guide or GM on Project 1999.
And I'm looking at myself. Awesome.
How long has it been since you've seen that character like that?
There and available for you if you choose to become an honorary guide
He's got the.
on Project 1999.
Oh man.
It's going to be echoing.
Yeah, close the browser.
Yeah, sorry. Wow, that's pretty awesome. That was like looking back through a time machine or something. Can you guys hear me okay now?
Yeah, we hear you good.
Yeah,
Sorry
you're
about
good.
that. Anyway, well, that's cool that you set that up, and I will definitely log on soon and assume control of that guy if that's okay with you.
Absolutely.
That would be awesome to walk around. I'm not going to play really hard, though, because I'm going to be honest with you, the way that the guys are talking about the game and how great it is, and just from what I remember of loving, early EQ, I will just get infatuated with it, and I'll play it, and I'll spend less time promoting Pantheon. And I'm serious, that would be a bad thing right now.
So P99 will be responsible for this project.
The downfall of the Kickstarter.
Or
Hey, wait a minute.
You have some parental controls for me or something.
We can set a time limit on your character.
Yeah, I think I don't think I'm disciplined enough to stop playing and then go back and promote the game. But I would like to log in and be able to walk around as a guide or whatever with Eridu, and that would be super cool.
You could walk up to players and be like, "Hail, young adventurer! Have you heard of Pantheon?"
part of the read, the advertisement, but let me plug another game. But that's super cool that you guys set that up. Thank you. Let's just trade some emails. You can tell me how I can log in and walk around with good old Eridu. I appreciate it. That was really cool for you guys to put together.
You're already getting asked for GM reses in the chat channel. Brad, so.
Oh, it's like,
I do have a question for you guys.
What's that?
I'm just curious how you guys actually managed to accomplish all the recreation stuff. So it's something we can talk about offline. But if you guys wouldn't mind, if I shot you an email or something like that, just to talk about stuff.
Oh, sure.
It's just general curiosity from my point.
Sure, anytime.
Awesome.
Well, I think we're pretty close to being able to wrap up the stream itself here.
Let's do one more raffle real quick.
You want to do one more raffle?
Let's do one more raffle.
We can
Oh,
do
yeah.
one more raffle.
Yeah.
Can we do a raffle for like the login of Eridune's character?
Right now, no, because it's on my account. All right, let's go ahead and open this.
Pretty sure if anybody tried to normally log into it, even if they had the username and password, it would not work. Since it's on a GM account, there are further restrictions.
I see.
I'm
I
getting in
tried,
on
guys.
this one.
Sorry.
I will have my guys. I will get it.
Could I just give Salim a guys? Could I just do that?
Yes, you can. You can. Yes.
Let's give the final yes or no to Nilbog.
All right, I'll ask him off stream.
No, you ask him now. What's the verdict?
Put him on the spot.
That is a confirmed maybe.
I'll get him.
Are you
off
sure you're not a
stream.
developer, Nilbog? I mean,
Oh, god damn it.
Nilbog, working as intended.
Ship it.
Ship it.
Ship your pants.
if I could tell you how many times I heard Brad say that during this Kickstarter, ship it. The game would be out. I don't know if you're saying it, but we'd have it.
Well, just listen to me. We'd be done.
I have a request from one of the team members. He would like you guys to spawn Dune Digger for him because we had Dune Digger pop on us last night, and he wasn't able to get the shield for his SK that drops with it. That's
Isn't
his
that
request.
A super rare spawn.
Yes. And
Tell them to camp it,
Bro.
man. Don't let these guys get special treatment.
It's
Sounds like
a rare spawn.
favoritism and coverage.
Shit sounds classic.
I would say if I were you, I'd say no. Camp it again or whatever. Deal with it. So.
If it comes down to Dune Digger or guys, I think that I should get the guys and he should have to camp Dune Digger.
Also sounds legit.
So I think we're good to go to pick a winner on the raffle.
All right, let's
Yeah.
pick a winner on this here raffle. Oh, it's taking its time.
Well,
The
there's something
winner-
in it, too.
He's probably saying, because the winner is one of us.
The winner is Riviek P99. I will put
Okay.
your name in chat because I might not be saying it right. I should probably turn this stupid thing off too. Riviek
Congrats,
P99, send me a private message with your player character and I'll find you in game. And congrats to all our wonderful winners this evening.
Yeah, and thanks everybody for joining us for this stream. Make sure you get onto the Pantheon Kickstarter. Make sure you do it properly with your name and everything. We'll have some more instructions and some more details on the different rewards and how all that's going to work. Hopefully in a post tonight, Rogean? Question mark.
Maybe.
Maybe. Solid
Maybe
movies.
tonight.
Solid
All we're
maybe.
getting.
If Rogan won't do it, I'll make a post for him, and then he can post it, and it'll look like he did all the work.
Do you guys
Thank you,
have
guys.
shush? Do you guys have anything else you want to say about Pantheon? Maybe that we didn't get to or didn't address, or just open platform to say whatever?
For me, really, it's just, I really want to see this game be made. It's been a long time. I've been developing this for a long time, and it's been a while since I've been really excited when it came to just discussing designs and things that we could do. Rarely have I been in an environment, because we're a smaller team, rarely have I been in an environment where, I can say, hey, let's do this, and have our lead programmer and our other designer say, yes, we actually can do that. So it makes me want to play the game more and more and more. And so I really want to work on this game. I want it to become a reality, and I want to be able to do everything. I want to be able to do all the stretch goals and beyond that. So yeah, if you can reach down in your wallet and help us out, please come to the page, back us, and know that your voice is heard. This is crowdfunded. We believe in getting feedback from you guys and molding this game to be the game that you expect it to be. So yeah, that's it for me. This game will have a special place in my heart if we're able to accomplish this.
I think
Salim's been great too. Once you do pledge and you can make comments, he's in there interacting with our future players, and And I can tell you what he's saying is right on that. he is excited. He's the whole team is just so excited to see this thing happen. They've been offered other jobs, other opportunities. They've turned down a lot of that just so they can put as much time into this as possible. But we are at the point where we need to bring some additional people on board. We need to keep going. We need to, turn our prototype and have it continue to evolve and include more and more systems so that we can eventually get to alpha and beta release, etc. The game is, the game's 3 years away, but we're going to have a beta that's at least 1 year. So you can look at it that it's 2 years. You're investing in something 2 years away. And then we also have pledge tiers and rewards where there's even some limited alpha access. So you're potentially less than 2 years away, from that standpoint. So, but we're at that point. We've been working out of our homes. We've been meeting in my garage. Not ashamed of that. A lot of great companies have started out that way, but we are at the point now where we need to have some money coming in so that people can get paychecks again, and so we can get a little office and be more efficient that way, and support a slightly larger team, and that's only going to happen. Really, I mean, we have other avenues we can go talking to investors and publishers, and we may have to go that route, but the more we can accomplish with the crowdfunding or sourcing, the better, and that is because then it remains the development team and the future players who are guiding this game into what it needs to be and what it should be. Whenever the more entities you involve, the more people you have to please, and the more things you have to worry about. And we don't want to go there. We want to stay small, stay lean and mean. We want to hold on to the vision, protect the vision, and the best way to do that is just to make this about us, about the players and about the developers, and us having a great relationship with each other, getting lots of good ideas from you, and lots of great feedback. So please, if at all possible, please help us make this dream a reality.
There's so many questions that come up in chat and everything too, and I wish we had time to get to everything. But just to reassure you, we're constantly doing what we can to get your questions answered. We want to tell everybody about this, so we want to let you know what's going on. So we'll be doing more of stuff like this. Certainly hope that we can get back together on this channel, some other channels as well. I want to get another AMA scheduled where Brad can answer your questions directly.
Ben?
Yeah.
There's something that someone brought up in the chat for Brad that I think we should discuss. Someone asked Brad to promise to shave his head if we can get to a certain goal point. I think that
I thought that was
that should happen.